Hi, this is BBC News for viewers in the UK and around the globe. I'm Victoria Fritz. Our top stories. Tokyo extends its state of emergency after Japan suffers a record-breaking 10,000 daily COVID cases. There's increasing concern the Olympics is fueling the spike.
I can sense that we're getting too used to the state of emergency, so it's not stopping people from going out.
If the government really wants to stop the spread of the virus, they have to lock us down and offer financial support.
It's day 7 of the Tokyo Olympics and all eyes are turning to the track as the heats for the 100 metres marks the start of the athletics. Australia sends in the troops to enforce Sydney's stay-at-home restrictions as COVID infections continue to rise. And one of Hollywood's best paid stars, Scarlett Johansson, is suing Disney for streaming her latest movie, Black Widow. And we meet Africa's mother of contemporary dance, who's won a prestigious prize at the Venice Dance Biennale at the age of 77. Hello there and a very warm welcome. After hitting a new record for the number of confirmed daily cases of more than 10,000 in Japan, a state of emergency already in place in Tokyo has now been extended to more regions. There's increasing concern that enthusiasm for the Olympics has contributed to a spike in coronavirus cases. Well, our reporter Mariko Oi is in Tokyo and she gave us this update.
Well, the Japanese government has proposed to expand the state of emergency to include the 3 surrounding prefectures of Tokyo as well as Osaka. So that's going to take effect on Monday.
She just had her first shot yesterday and I've made my appointment. So we're getting vaccinated when we can.
If the government really wants to stop the spread of the virus, they have to lock us down and offer financial support. Because without it, people would go out and go to work because they need to earn money.
Well, of course, there's also all the sporting action to consider, and our presenter Sarah Malkarens has been updating me on all the latest action, starting with the swimming.
It was great excitement here this morning, particularly for South Africa sports fans, because Tatiana Schoenmaker broke a world record that has stood since 2013 with Evgeny Ryloff with that. And there was also a bronze medal for Great Britain in that with Luke Greenback. That's the first time ever that Great Britain have won an Olympic medal in that event.
When they realise the results and they realise what they've achieved, it's fantastic. We've also seen some medals, haven't we, for Great Britain when it comes to the BMX racing coverage over the last 24 hours or so. And we've got the athletics to look forward to. First day today, isn't it? What do we need to look out for at the stadium?
Is at the athletics.
Now, hundreds of troops are to be deployed in the Australian city of Sydney to help police ensure that residents observe the stay-at-home restrictions currently in place, and infection rates continue to rise. While our correspondent in Sydney, Shaima Khalil, says Australia's low vaccination rate is an issue.
It's the availability of the vaccine. It's the fact that there's been so much mixed messaging around the AstraZeneca that not many people have gone for it for weeks. But also remember, this is a country where for the longest time, life had gone back to near normal to make sure that people abide by these rules and abide by the lockdown.
Now, the United States is beginning to evacuate large numbers of Afghan interpreters and their families because of fears that their work could put their lives at risk. Concerns over their fate has increased as the US completes its military withdrawal from the country. Well, we can speak now to our Afghanistan correspondent Sukunda Kamani, who is in Kabul for us. Sukunda, how dangerous is it for those that aided Americans over the last 2 decades?
Well, certainly there is a lot of fear amongst the interpreter community. As the Taliban have been advancing, the group are now in control of around half of all territory in the country, though no major cities. They are fighting in the outskirts of a number. They've encircled others. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said yesterday that the first group of Afghan interpreters who had worked with US military forces would be arriving in America very, very soon. Come the end of August and the end of the formal end of the international military mission in Afghanistan, then things are only going to deteriorate.
OK, really interesting. Thanks very much. Sukunda Kamani in Kabul for us. Thank you. Do stay with us here on BBC News. Still to come, why one of Hollywood's best paid stars is suing Walt Disney over her latest movie. Will face compulsory weekly testing and other restrictions. Here's our North America correspondent, David Willis.
Coronavirus cases have risen in all but one state over the course of the last 7 days. Most of it fueled, of course, by the spread of the Delta variant. Medium-sized businesses who give their staff paid time off in order to go and get vaccinated. As to whether all this will work, we'll just have to wait and see. If it doesn't, then the next alternative really is some sort of mandatory measures, and that's something that the Biden administration is unwilling to deploy.
Now, the star of the Marvel superhero film Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, is suing Walt Disney over its simultaneous release of the movie in cinemas and on its streaming service. Miss Johansson alleges that the action cost her millions of dollars.
And you get the bonus in hand, according to her lawyers in their lawsuit. So that's interesting.
Very interesting indeed. Well, she's called the mother of African contemporary dance, and her achievements have earned her the top award at this year's Dance Biennale Festival in Venice. The Senegalese-French choreographer, you can see her there, Jermaine Akououni, who's still dancing at the age of 77, has won the prestigious Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement, as Brenda Amanis reports.
Jermaine Akogny marks her debut at the Venice Biennale Dance with a stirring performance of Somewhere at the Beginning.
Newness, she's innovative, she's daring and she's brave.
And this relentless drive and ambition will no doubt see her continue to work for many years to come. Brenda Amanis, BBC News.
And from one pioneer to another, the star of the hit TV show Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker, is going to leave the programme next year. A scene here with some of the cast. She became the first woman to play the time-travelling Doctor when she joined the long-running show in 2017. It's not known who will replace her in the TARDIS. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Fritz News. Visit us in 2 minutes' time. See you soon. Hello there. We start with Amazon. The e-commerce giant has been one of the businesses that have been a big winner during the pandemic as people around the world were forced to shop online. But is the boom about to come to an end? Amazon made sales of a vast $113 billion in the 3 months to June. But that was actually less than Wall Street was expecting, and it's warned of a further slowdown in the coming months. Samir Hussain reports from New York.
Amazon is the online shopping titan. But what happens when consumers who have spent most of the last year and a half stuck inside are finally allowed to go out shopping in actual physical stores?
Crazy money, isn't it? That was the former Amazon executive Frank Kotchenash on the company's rising profits. Let's stay in the United States, shall we? Because Wall Street shares touched new record highs on Thursday's session after official data showed that the world's biggest economy has now recovered to pre-pandemic levels.
Fuel to run these computer processors to benefit a few people on Wall Street for what? It's not worth it.
Politicians around the world are still trying to work out how to deal with Bitcoin's greedy energy consumption. Companies like Greenwich think that they're the future, but plenty of others think that reopening plants like this is a step in the wrong direction. James Clayton, BBC News.
More ups and downs for the ride-hailing company Didi on
China. Really, since Alibaba back in 2014, it made about $4.4 billion. But just in the days after, we heard, for example, that the Chinese authorities were investigating the company and that they couldn't register as a result new users or sell themselves on the Chinese App Store. As a result, we've seen Didi have this absolute roller coaster, and that is truly continuing.
To come, tough times for the childcare business, but could it mean more men taking up the vocation?
I haven't got 2 husbands.
How nice for you.
Senor know all her secrets.
I hate you all so very much.
You're in tweed, Sebastian. This is a war.
Make your Thursdays bang with our brand new literary season on BBC4.
The Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, streamed live on BBC iPlayer. The Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, streamed live on BBC iPlayer.
Hello, this is BBC News, the headlines. On day 7 of the Tokyo Olympics, Shelley Ann Fraser-Pryce is among the favourites. Tokyo has extended its state of emergency after Japan suffered a record-breaking 10,000 daily COVID cases. The Australian government has deployed hundreds of troops in the city of Sydney to help police ensure that residents observe the stay-at-home restrictions. You are watching BBC News. When a country holds the Olympics, there's often a big effort to clean up and redevelop parts of the host city.
Trying to get homeless people off the streets and into shelters. They deny forcing them out because of the Olympics.
But those shelters cram 3 to 4 bunk beds in very small rooms. Most homeless people in Japan are elderly and unvaccinated and think it's safer to sleep on the streets. Yamada has found shelter for the night. It's raining heavily, so he's taken refuge under a bridge near the Olympic Stadium.
If they lose any public places they can stay at night, then they cannot survive. It's unfair and inhumane.
But in the morning, he will get evicted once again. Sofia Bettiza, BBC News, Tokyo.
To Stevenage, where the drugs manufacturer GlaxoSmithKline has
slowly integrated into a community, isn't missed by Kasra, who's a member of the cast, but also a new arrival in Coventry.
To put Coventry on the map. Joan Cummings, BBC Midlands, today, Coventry.
Do stay with us here on BBC News. Coming up next, it's World Business Report.
Whether it's your first time or you're returning for more. Live. First night of the proms, tonight at 8 on BBC Two, continues on BBC 4.
The BBC World Service is accessible.
BBC World Service has given us facts that doesn't distort our world.
I can make up my own mind.
The World Service definitely keeps people
bringing the world closer. The BBC World Service.
Is the world of opera changing? And using streaming, for instance, from the biggest names in opera today and...
Take Me to the Opera with Zainab Badawi. Tomorrow at 2:30 on the BBC News Channel.
Making sure the vaccine is under control.
This is not... stands for everybody, that togetherness of it, and I did.
There is more than just the...
This is BBC News, broadcasting to viewers in the UK and around the globe. I'm Krupa Padhy, our top stories.
Do get jobs and can get jobs, but often fall out of the workplace for many different reasons.
Hello, this is BBC News and these are your latest headlines. Tokyo has extended its state of emergency after Japan suffered a record-breaking 10,000 daily COVID cases. Gold in the women's BMX racing final, whilst teammate Kai White claimed silver in the men's. President Biden has urged individual states to pay unvaccinated Americans $100 to get...
These people have been trying to help Yamada. We have to build a fence, he says, to prevent people from entering this area during the Olympics.
Well, let's bring you some breaking news now. The first person convicted under Hong Kong's national security law will face 9 years in prison for terrorist activities and inciting secession. Judges said on Friday. Now, this is obviously a development because he was found guilty earlier in the week. This is a watershed ruling for the long-term implications for the city's judicial landscape. The former waiter, Tom Ying Kit, who's 24, was accused of driving his motorcycle into riot police last year whilst carrying a flag with the protest slogan "Liberate Hong Kong." They have been offered a third dose of a Western coronavirus vaccine on a wide scale. People over 60 will be able to get the top-up starting on Sunday. Israel was one of the fastest countries in the world to vaccinate its population with the first 2 doses. The star of the Marvel superhero film Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, is suing the Walt Disney Company over its simultaneous release of the movie in cinemas and on its streaming service. Earlier, we heard from the journalist KJ Matthews as to why this lawsuit is so significant.
Scarlett Johansson is the highest paid actress in Hollywood. And really, the kind of contract that she had is really no different from all the other A-list stars. Negotiate according to her lawyers. And because of that, she's not going to make as much money.
She's called the mother of African contemporary dance
and contemporary movement.
I have always wanted to have dance recognized as a real profession.
Using her history to invent newness, she's innovative, she's daring and she's brave.
Shaping and transforming a new generation of dancers and choreographers, her ambition is to change outdated Western perceptions of dance from the continent.
We very much rely on the young people to take
70s and remarkably show no signs of slowing down. What still motivates you? Brenda Manus, BBC News.
Well, that's it for the moment. You can catch all of the stories we've been covering over on our website and, of course, on our news app. And you can catch us on social media.